Hello. In 2003, a shocking case occurred in Malaysia. A 28-year-old female information analyst and Taekwondo black belt mysteriously disappeared after attending a party. The mystery unfolded gradually with in-depth investigation. However, the truth behind it sent chills down many people's spines. The crime took place in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, one of Malaysia's two capitals and the most populous city in the country, with a population of approximately 2 million. The main character of the story is named Kenny Yeon, also known as Wong Lee Kwan. I'll abbreviate it as Wong Lee Kwan. She was born on July 18, 1974. She is of Chinese Indian descent in Malaysia. Her father, Wong Mei Chung, is the principal of a secondary school. Her mother, Perry, is of Indian origin and also a teacher. Wong Lee Kwan is a beautiful and successful woman. In the eyes of her family and friends, she is a well-behaved, polite, and considerate girl. Besides her striking appearance, she is also very fond of sports, especially Taekwondo, and has achieved the rank of black belt in this sport. Black belt is the highest rank in Taekwondo.
Despite her martial arts skills, she is also very talented academically. In 1995, after graduating from high school with excellent grades, she left Malaysia to study information technology at the University of California in the United States. She later became an outstanding IT analyst. After graduation, while working in the US, she met a very handsome man named Wang Yi-tian, a Chinese American. The beautiful couple was the envy of many. In 2001, they got married. After marriage, they lived very happily, with high incomes and a bright future for their small family. In early 2003, her father was diagnosed with cancer during a health checkup. Fortunately, his condition was detected relatively early, and the cure rate was relatively high. Due to relatively rare illnesses and the need for a dangerous surgery, she dropped everything she was doing to return to Malaysia to care for her father. Family was the most precious thing in her heart. On June 1, 2003, she flew from the United States to Malaysia and diligently cared for her father in the hospital.
She was with him through the surgery, and fortunately, it was successful, and his health recovered relatively well. This made her feel very relieved. After more than 10 days of caring for her father, she saw that his condition was now very good and much better. Therefore, she planned to return to work in the United States on June 14th. Everything was going very well, and everyone in the family decided to hold a farewell party before she left Malaysia. But no one could have imagined that a tragedy would suddenly befall her after the farewell party. So what happened to her, and what happened on that day? Let's rewind the time to June 13th. On June 13, 2003, the day before Wang Yuan left Malaysia to return to the United States, her family held a farewell party for her. The party included only family members and a few close friends. The venue was a restaurant in a shopping mall. At 8 p.m., Wang Yuan drove her mother to the restaurant. At that time, the parking garage in the shopping mall was quite deserted and dark due to a broken light.
The two of them hurried to the restaurant. After parking, on the way there, she suddenly remembered that she had forgotten to take her parking ticket. At that time, most parking lots in Malaysia had a different payment method than ours. You would get the ticket at the entrance and then pay the parking fee at another location, and the payment location was usually not at the exit. Therefore, you always have to carry your parking ticket with you. She told her mother, "It's okay, I'll come back to get it after we eat." After they arrived at the restaurant, the others had already left. Everyone arrived and had a great time at dinner. Wang Quan seemed to have endless conversations with friends she hadn't seen in years. Although she wanted to stay with her friends longer, her mother was tired, so she decided to take her home to rest first and return later. She then took her mother and sister ahead. While queuing at the ticket counter, Wang Quan suddenly realized she had left her ticket in the car.
Angry at her mother and sister for waiting, she quickly entered the elevator to the basement. The distance from the queue to the parking lot was short, but 20 minutes had passed, and her mother and sister still hadn't seen her return. They called her,
but she didn't answer. Feeling worried, they decided to go down to the parking lot and were surprised to find that her car had disappeared, and so had she. They rushed back to the restaurant to report the incident. They called her phone repeatedly, but she didn't answer. After many calls, her phone was switched off. Remembering that the parking garage had security cameras, they immediately ran down and demanded to see the surveillance camera footage. But according to regulations, you can only check the surveillance cameras after midnight. Finally, after much pleading, the security guard agreed to let them check the video. And what appeared on the screen shocked everyone. The screen showed that at 10:16 p.m., while Wang Yuan was struggling to find her parking ticket, a strange man approached her from behind. Wang Yuan, despite having a Taekwondo black belt, was only good at competitive sports, not real combat. At that moment, she tried to resist fiercely. After being hit, the man attacked her multiple times in the stomach and chest, causing her to become paralyzed. Then, the man dragged her into a car and drove away. The car sped through the parking lot and crashed, breaking the barrier in two. However, due to the dim light, the surveillance camera could not clearly see the kidnapper's face. After witnessing her daughter being kidnapped, Mrs. Pony called the security guard and refused to sit still. The police decided to drive back and forth across Kuala Lumpur, searching for her. After 4 hours of fruitless searching, her mother and sister decided to return home. They were exhausted after a night of scouring the city, and now they could only rely on the police. For 2 consecutive days, neither the police nor Wang Qian's family had any leads. Therefore, the family decided to seek help from the media. They released numerous missing person notices and offered a reward of 10,000 ringgit.
The incident attracted unimaginable public attention, putting immense pressure on the Malaysian police. On June 16th, a patrol officer reported that a car with the same license plate had been found next to an abandoned construction site. The police immediately went to the scene, but were startled by the car. The front of the vehicle was damaged, possibly from hitting a parking lot railing, and one of the front wheels had been damaged the night before. The damage appears to be from a sudden acceleration collision, causing the tire to split. Most horrifyingly, a large amount of blood was found on the back seat of the car, along with traces of semen. It seems Wang Quan was raped and severely injured inside the car. Police searched the area, but found nothing. They then tried calling her phone, and unexpectedly, a man answered. The police quickly located the man, identified as Adidas Male, a driver. During questioning, he confessed that early on the morning of June 14th, while driving to work near an industrial park, he saw a parked car. His seat was broken, so he got out of the car to find a piece of wood to prop it up. He then saw an unclothed girl in the back of the car and a man in the driver's seat. At the time, he thought they were just a couple. The couple had been intimate, so they didn't think much of it. A short while later, the car drove away. After running some errands, on the way home, he saw the car that had been parked there earlier was back in the same spot. He wondered if there was any cool scenery to admire, so he decided to get out of the car and approach it. But when he looked inside, he saw no one, only a handbag and a girl's mobile phone in the back seat. Seeing that no one was around, he became greedy, reached through the car window, grabbed the handbag and mobile phone, and left. After several investigations, the police found that he had no connection to Wang Quan. His physique was also different from the man recorded on the camera. He had also described the man sitting in the driver's seat that day very clearly. Basically, he resembled the person recorded on the camera. He even used Wang Quan's phone.
Could he have brought this upon himself? After consideration, the police ruled him out as a suspect. He was considered a witness until June 17th, 4 days after Wang disappeared. About 2 kilometers from the location of the car, a construction foreman accidentally smelled a very foul odor coming from a drain by the roadside. Curious, he opened it and found a burnt body inside. Terrified, he called the police.
The police quickly arrived at the scene and discovered a burnt body, along with 2 car tires and a drain pipe. The body was charred, with the arms crossed in front of the chest. Most of the body parts were burned to ashes. After forensic examination, the doctors concluded that the victim died from 2 stab wounds to the abdomen. The arson was intended to conceal the crime. The victim had been brutally raped multiple times before death, causing severe damage to the genitals. The forensic doctors also successfully extracted DNA from the victim's semen to determine if the victim was Wang Quan. The police invited her best friend, Natasha, and her sister to the hospital.
Upon seeing the sister's body, they immediately recognized the unburned jeans. The pants she lent Wang Yuan when they went out for dinner were confirmed to be Wang Yuan's. DNA testing confirmed the body was indeed Wang Yuan's. A woman named Amina Isaac reported to the police that in the early morning of June 14th, she happened to meet a stranger whose car had a flat tire. He knocked on her car door and asked to borrow tools to change the tire, which she agreed to. Also, her brother, who was driving at the time, got out to help the man change the tire. While preparing to change the tire, she noticed a girl sitting in the back passenger seat. The girl in the car had her hands clasped and looked at her as if begging for something. Seeing this, she got out of the car and approached the girl, intending to ask her something. Seeing this, the man panicked, immediately stopped changing the tire, jumped back into his car, and drove away. At that moment, she realized something was wrong and wrote down the license plate number, WFN 6871.
This is Wang Yuan's license plate number. The night of June 13th was the night Wang Yuan disappeared. It was at 11:15 p.m., a police officer named Grant, while on patrol with his colleagues, spotted a blue car parked on the side of the road. It was a normal sight, so he didn't pay much attention. However, more than 30 minutes later, when they returned to the same area, the car was still parked there. He approached the car and knocked on the door to talk. In the dim light, he saw a man in the driver's seat and a girl sitting next to him, looking somewhat suspicious. He asked them to show their identification. The two in the car cooperated well and presented their documents. While examining the papers, he noticed the girl making a series of strange gestures. She clasped her hands together as if pleading for something. Sensing something was wrong, he immediately asked her to get out of the car for questioning. When the girl opened the door and got out, the man became aggressive, shouting at the police officers, "You're just fake police officers. You're robbers." He slammed the car door shut and sped away. Seeing this, the police drew their pistols and fired 2 shots at the car. One shot hit the tire, but the car sped away and disappeared into the night. Because the incident happened so suddenly, the police didn't record the license plate number. Fortunately, they still had the 2 ID cards of the 2 people in the car. At that time, news of Wang Quan's kidnapping hadn't spread, so they didn't realize the importance of the 2 cards.
They had already submitted the cards to their superiors, and no one paid attention until the news spread. Only then did they check the 2 ID cards. One was named Amaz Naip Benaret, and the other was Wang Quan. The police immediately began searching for the man. They checked the address on the ID card and found that it was incorrect, and the ID card was fake. This further confused the police. They only knew the man's name and had no other information. Finally, the police had to retrieve his name from the marriage registration office and the police department. The Social Security Agency finally obtained information showing that he was 27 years old, working for an aircraft cleaning company, and also in a managerial position. They also found information about his wife and home address. To avoid alerting him, the police set up an ambush near his home. After 3 days of surveillance, the police did not see him, only his wife going in and out of the apartment. At 4 a.m. on June 20th, the police finally saw him get out of a taxi and walk home. The police quickly approached and successfully arrested him.
Initially, the police thought he must be an extremely dangerous person to commit such a brutal act.
But in reality, when arrested, he was not at all calm. He even smiled slightly, looking nothing like a suspect. After investigation, the police discovered that Mazip was a devout Christian with no prior criminal record and a very happy family life. Mazip is the director of an aircraft cleaning company. His wife is a senior employee at a bank, and they have a 5-year-old child. At the time, his wife was also 3 months pregnant. Logically, it's unclear why Mazip would commit such an incident in such a happy family. The police later obtained a search warrant for his house and found a blue jacket and blue jeans stained with evidence, along with DNA samples and forensic material. After receiving confirmation from the police officer, he chose to confess everything, recounting the entire incident. He even led the police to the underground parking lot of a shopping mall and explained his actions in detail. He stated that on the night of June 13th, he accidentally saw the attractive and beautiful Wong Quan passing by and, overcome by impulse, followed the mother and child's car on a motorbike.
Upon reaching the parking lot, he discovered another person in the car, so he couldn't do anything. Not giving up, he left his motorbike on the street. And I was in the parking lot, waiting for an opportunity for hours. He was happy to see Vuong forget to walk alone to the parking lot. When he saw her looking for something in Hui, he immediately rushed over, overpowered her, and with a knife, fearing discovery, he drove straight through the fence and fled. He stated that he had raped her a total of 2 times. Finally, because the victim resisted, he stabbed her in the stomach. Seeing her dying, he panicked and didn't know what to do, so he tied Lang up with a cloth strip. Then, seeing the water level by the roadside was uncovered, he decided to throw her body into the ditch, also throwing 2 tires filled with cement, using some planks to cover the hole, and quickly fled the scene. The next day, he returned with gasoline and a lighter and burned the body. Logically, since he had confessed to the crime, the case should have ended, but things were not so simple afterwards. After pleading guilty, Dasis's family hired a famous lawyer named Mohammed to defend her in the trial. The court then dismissed all previous confessions, claiming they were obtained under duress and that he was not guilty. He stated that the police had threatened him, saying that if he didn't confess, his wife, children, and parents would be imprisoned, a situation nobody could imagine. However, even with a wife, evidence such as bloodstains on his clothes and semen DNA were difficult to deny. But his lawyer disagreed, arguing that this evidence was only indirect, as no one saw Nazib commit the murder. The lawyer also pointed out several inconsistencies in the initial testimony, such as the surveillance camera system in the parking garage was very blurry and couldn't clearly see, and it's not certain that the person in the picture was Lazib. Even if the man was him, it couldn't prove that he did it. Furthermore, it's possible that Vuong Queen voluntarily went with him.
Vuong Queen is a black Taekwondo fighter, while he was just a... It's illogical for an ordinary person, a high-level martial artist, to be kidnapped by an ordinary person. 3. In the entire incident, it's clear that Wong Quan had 2 chances to be saved. Once, when she encountered the police, she could have opened the door and escaped, but she didn't. Another time was when he went to borrow tools to fix a tire. She was clearly alone in the car, but she didn't choose to open the door and run away. 4. The police found blood-stained pants at David's house. The lawyer believes the pants are problematic because the police didn't measure them specifically, so they can't confirm if the jeans belong to him. 5. There is ample evidence showing Wong Quan was sexually assaulted, but Napip claims she had consensual sex with him. Therefore, regarding the cause of Wong Quan's death, the lawyer believes it was a consensual relationship between the two. They had too much fun in their excitement, leading to a tragic death.
After the lawyer's arguments were presented, the incident caused a wave of uproar. While most people believed the lawyer was deliberately protecting the criminal, others questioned whether Nasip was the real culprit. Criminal psychologists then explained each of the lawyer's suspicions. The psychologist stated that Taekwondo is just a sport whose main purpose is physical training. However, there is a significant difference in physical strength between men and women. Furthermore, Wang Quan was crouching in the car while he threatened her, making it difficult for her to react. Although she was a martial artist, that didn't mean she could handle unexpected situations. When faced with an armed thug, a woman's psychology is usually characterized by fear, making her hesitant to flee. Her panicked state prevented her from thinking clearly, unlike an outsider. Besides the DNA evidence, there were many other witnesses who, although they didn't see him kill her, saw him by her side from beginning to end.
It is undeniable that on February 23, 2015, after 52 days of trial, based on numerous physical pieces of evidence and the testimony of dozens of witnesses, the judge convicted David of murder and sexual assault. He was sentenced to death for murder, 20 years in prison for sexual assault, and an additional 10 lashes. He told the court that he accepted the decision but would appeal the 2007 verdict. The court rejected his appeal in 2009. He pleaded for mercy, saying he wanted to change the death penalty. His request for a life sentence was denied, and on September 23, 2016, he took his own life in prison. Following the incident, several changes were made to prevent such tragedies, such as establishing women-only parking areas in some large shopping mall parking lots, installing additional surveillance equipment, and renting emergency call buttons within buildings. However, these measures can only reduce crime, not eliminate it completely, regardless of gender. As long as we go out, we must always be careful and vigilant. This video ends here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next case. Goodbye.